Okay, so now we're at the table side. You saw the patient that came back, they scanned their card, they chose the patient in their family that was going to get adjusted first, and then they laid down. Well, at this screen, it's really important to understand what's available at the screen for the doctor. And like I said, we're replacing the checkout desk, so by the time the doctor is done here, everything really needs to be done from documentation to billing. Should be done right at the table. And there is a fail-safe. If the doctor can't get everything done at the table, they can go back and do it after shift or in between patients or something like that. But what is available at the table? First, on the left-hand side is where documents and images would be uploaded for the patient's account. You can see there's obviously x-rays uploaded, and just by touching on the x-ray that I want to see next, you'll see that we can compare x-rays up to 6 at a time. You can have as many x-rays in the account as you want, and now I'm just removing them just by touching on them. You can also upload Word documents, PDFs, JPEGs, Excel spreadsheets, whatever you want right into here, so just by a touch of the screen you'll be able to view those documents. In a truly paperless office, a lot of our clients will take their initial intake forms and scan them into the system and save them as a PDF into the patient account so they can review those documents later on right at the table. Over here you can see the compliance measurement, so you can see if the patient has been compliant with their recommended visits. So each line would represent 1 week. For example, this represents the week of July 6th, I'm sorry. And you can see during that 1 week, this patient missed 2 out of 3 visits, and that's why they're that dark pink or red color. So if they're all white, you wouldn't necessarily think anything, but as the patient starts to become non-compliant with their recommended care plan, you'll be able to start seeing red visits. On top of that, you see the last visit they came in for, the visit they're in for right now, as well as the next visit they're scheduled for, so it's really easy at the table for the doctor to say, I'll see you on Wednesday at 7 p.m. for your reevaluation. The color and the appointment type abbreviation will be right there, so the doctor knows the appointment type, and that corresponds with the scheduler. To the top right-hand side of the screen, I can see the care plan information, so I can see the total number of visits in this patient's care plan. I can see the start date, the end date of the care plan, or when it expires, and then I can see what type of visit they're on. Within a care plan, you can have any combination of insurance, cash, and free visits. And right here I can see on what visit they are in their total care plan and how many visits of whatever type I want to see left. In this case, they're on insurance visit number 5 out of 150 insurance visits, so they have really great insurance coverage. To the right-hand side here, you can see these are just like sticky notes. Whatever I put in here, it doesn't go into my SOAP note, it doesn't go into any other piece of the system, it just stays here. And even from the front desk, my staff can put in a message to me right here so that when it pops up, I can see it right there. All right. To the top-hand side of the screen here, you can see the patient's information, but right below that, you can see diagnosis and procedure codes. And I can see the diagnosis and procedure codes, and right below that, I see some warning signs. The warning signs are state and payer specific, but they would range from coding warning signals, so it could be telling me what's going to prevent me simply from getting paid, whether I need a diagnosis code in a certain position for this carrier in this state, whether I need a modifier, a diagnosis link, but it's also going to tell me if I'm at risk for an audit by billing this way. And obviously most of us know what's going on with insurance audits at this point, so we want to avoid those. And these are not warnings to tell you how to beat the system, these are warnings to tell you where you lie as compared to the normal expected normals by the insurance company. And the perfect example would be a 98942, and it's telling me I have billed a 5 region adjustment more than 3 times in the past 180 days, which is considered not normal by the insurance company. And that is not to tell you to change that because of that and try to beat the system. It's telling you that you should make sure that your documentation supports billing that level of code on this claim. So I could either just leave it and make sure my note supports it, or I can simply change it by touching the procedure, deleting this procedure, and adding a lesser charge. All right. Then it's telling me about a diagnosis link for my 97140. So in this case, I want to just add link another diagnosis to this, and I also want to add a modifier. So you can see as I go through the the warnings are being removed, and then I can proceed. All right. Now below here we're looking at the SOAP note, and you can see that the SOAP note is broken down into subjective, objective, activities, daily living, assessment, and plan. And I go through each one of these tabs and I'll show you how it's kind of broken down, but you can see really easily that each line under the subjective tab represents one complaint, and in this one particular case, this complaint started on the 1st of July. It's a work-related complaint, or the mechanism of injury was work. It's pain, it's throbbing, it's bilateral, it's C4, it's an intermittent pain, it's a 4 out of 10, and it's worse in the middle of the day. So real easily I can see in shorthand what's going on with this particular problem, and what's nice is also I can change it really easily, make that from a 4 to a 2, or make this from intermittent to occasional, whatever I want to do, and that will update my narrative. This last tab here actually shows your narrative, and you can see that this is just the subjective portion of that note right here. So based on what's in this subjective shorthand input area, a narrative is already generated for you. All the sections work similar, in a similar fashion. The system comes built for you. You don't have to reconfigure this whole thing and figure out what buttons you want to put where and what text you want it to create. It's already built by compliance officers, by compliance attorneys, and by chiropractors and doctors alike, as well as physical therapists. So everybody, it's a combined effort to build one SOAP note system that's easy to use and compliant, and will help you survive an audit. But again, each section works the same way. If I want to go through my plan even, it's really easy to make a couple of changes. Just want to do one thing. Now on a regular visit, the patient just scanned in, and this is the screen that pops up. I can quickly and easily see exactly where my patient is with respect to compliance to their care plan, previous diagnosis, previous procedure codes. Their previous SOAP note will come up, and their care plan information, as well as any notes I made to myself on the previous visit. So I don't have to reinvent the wheel here. I don't have to reinvent the new SOAP note. I don't have to reinvent diagnosis and procedure codes. I might want to go through and make sure everything corresponds with what I want it to say today, as far as their objective findings, their activities of daily living, assessment, and plan. And a lot of doctors will just update this on reevaluations. But the one section you definitely want to check is the plan section, and make sure that for each item, as far as an adjustment of C4, manual therapy, Z extension, electric stim, whatever it may be, that whether or not you did that today is checked off. So I can say I did this today or did not do this according to my treatment plan. So on a regular visit, after I adjust my patient, I turn around. It should take no more than 10 to 15 seconds, 20 at the most, to look at my diagnosis, procedure codes, quickly go through my note, update any things I want to change, and hit the bill button. When I hit the bill button, the claim is actually generated. It actually will check the patient out of the office. The claim will be generated. It'll go through a validation process to check it for any more errors or on the account level. And if everything is clean, the claim is literally on the way to the insurance company before the patient even steps out of your office. The other option is also for the doctor to hit bill later, and that'll keep this patient or this claim on a list of claims that the doctor needs to go back and review before they bill it at the end of the day. So the idea is to have patients come back to the table and only on a few select examples hit bill later, and that way you can get 90 to 95% of all your visits, SOAP note and billing done right at the table, and then only that other 3 to 5% at the end of the day you'd have to go back and update your diagnosis, procedures, or SOAP note and hit bill at that point. And it makes for much more efficient billing.